You sit quietly in a crowded room. Everyone around you is smiling brightly. These empty smiles never actually reach their eyes. You watch them perform like actors on a stage. They trade hollow compliments for cheap validation. You see hidden agendas crawling beneath their words. Most people consider this normal socializing. You consider it a suffocating theater of lies. You do not feel superior to these people. You just feel profoundly and endlessly exhausted. A deep loneliness anchors heavily in your chest. Therapists might label you as deeply cynical. They might even diagnose you with clinical depression. Your brain is not broken at all. You are absolutely not experiencing clinical depression. You are suffering from a highly specific condition. Intelligence agencies call it the Cassandra anomaly. You possess a dangerous level of social awareness. You see the truth long before anyone else does. Nobody ever wants to hear this ugly truth. The average human brain is notoriously lazy. It relies heavily on cheap cognitive heuristics. These are incredibly simple mental shortcuts. They accept social facades entirely at face value. This blindness saves massive amounts of daily energy. Your neurological wiring operates on a different frequency. You possess high-resolution perception. Your mind processes social data in stunning clarity. You notice a slight microscopic twitch in their jaw. You hear the subtle tremor hiding in their voice. You spot the rigid posture behind a friendly laugh. Your prefrontal cortex catches every single mismatch. It compares spoken words against actual biological cues. This background process burns a staggering amount of glucose. Your brain acts exactly like a military supercomputer. It constantly runs threat assessments on every interaction. This hyper-awareness is not a trauma response. This is an ancient evolutionary survival advantage. Your ancestors needed to detect hidden tribal threats. They survived by sensing deception instantly. You inherited this hypervigilant neurological radar. Modern society endlessly punishes you for this trait. They falsely promised that ignorance is bliss. They demanded you play along with the grand charade. Your biology simply refuses to be blind. You cannot simply turn off this piercing perception. Your brain forces you to swallow the bitter truth. This relentless processing creates severe biological exhaustion. Every fake interaction drains your cellular battery. You feel physically heavy after 30 minutes of small talk. Your nervous system literally begs for total isolation. You retreat into dark solitude just to recover. Ordinary people think you are painfully antisocial. They do not understand the sheer metabolic cost. Navigating a room full of liars is a brutal workout. Your amygdala constantly fires bright red warning signals. It screams that these people are entirely unsafe. You end up absorbing their projected insecurities. You carry the crushing weight of their unhealed trauma. They wear thick masks to hide their fragile egos. You see right through the cheap plastic disguises. This creates a terrifying sense of total isolation. You realize how few authentic humans actually exist. The modern world feels like an empty simulation. You quietly mourn the death of genuine connection. This specific grief settles deep inside your bones. It is the ultimate curse of a high IQ. You understand human nature far too perfectly. You predict their bitter betrayals months in advance. You watch them follow your exact mental script. It brings absolutely zero satisfaction to be right. It only deepens your underlying existential despair. You wish you could just be happily oblivious. You wish you could easily swallow the blue pill. Your rigid neurological architecture absolutely forbids it. You are permanently locked into the harsh reality. This explains your chronic daily fatigues. Your brain is fighting a silent war against deception. It is time to rapidly change your defensive strategy. You must quickly weaponize this exhausting curse. You need to immediately install the ignorance filter. Elite operators use this exact tool to conserve vital energy. First, you must completely stop confronting the masks. Never attempt to call out a fake person. You cannot force a sleeping person to wake up. They will only attack you for holding the mirror. Stop trying to save them from their own lies. Stop investing your precious emotional energy into empty vessels. Righteous anger is a massive leak in your battery. Frustration is a useless tax on your fragile nervous system. You must do something radical upon spotting a fake. Treat their behavior as a highly predictable data point. View them strictly through a cold, analytical lens. Imagine you are a scientist observing wild animals. You do not get angry at a barking dog. You just note the erratic behavior and step back. Give them a polite and entirely hollow smile. Let them falsely believe their disguise actually worked. Mentally drop them straight into the low trust folder. Seal that mental folder with a heavy iron padlock. Interact with them purely as a sterile sociological experiment. Watch them frantically dance for social approval. Observe their desperate bids for cheap attention. Study their manipulation tactics with cold, detached curiosity. You are no longer a bleeding victim of their charade. You are an apex predator gathering vital intelligence. This mental shift creates a powerful emotional firewall. Their toxic energy simply bounces off your titanium armor. You permanently stop expecting authenticity from actors. You lower your social expectations to absolute zero. This discipline brings an incredible sense of inner peace. Your crashing glucose levels finally begin to stabilize. Your nervous system successfully exits the constant threat mode. You save your sacred energy for the rare, authentic souls. You ruthlessly protect your inner sanctuary at all costs. Let the fake people eventually exhaust each other. Let them slowly drown in their own shallow waters. You will stand safely on the distant, silent shore. Your silence becomes your absolute most devastating weapon. They will deeply feel your total lack of emotional engagement. They will wonder why they cannot easily manipulate you. Your terrifying, calm detachment will quietly destroy their confidence. You become entirely immune to their petty psychological games. You reclaim your stolen power by doing absolutely nothing. This is the true mastery of high-resolution perception. You see everything around you but react to nothing. You become an untouchable ghost in their desperate matrix. You turn your heaviest curse into an invincible psychological shield. This legendary shield requires extreme daily discipline to maintain. Sometimes the social environment becomes far too toxic. Sometimes you are trapped with deeply parasitic human beings. They constantly attempt to breach your high mental walls. They push your delicate nervous system to the absolute limit. The unbearable pressure builds up heavily inside your chest. Dealing with these energy vampires always has a breaking point. Your deep empathy can only absorb so much daily poison. Eventually, your biological battery hits 0%. A highly empathetic person eventually reaches a dangerous limit. A dark psychological mechanism suddenly activates in their brain. They completely stop yelling or complaining. They do not throw a dramatic temper tantrum. They permanently stop fighting for the broken relationship. They do something far more deeply terrifying. The comforting warmth in their eyes goes completely dead. They silently erase your entire existence from their reality. It is a brutal and permanent psychological execution. It leaves the arrogant manipulator in a state of shock. Elite psychologists call this lethal maneuver the INFJ door slam. This is exactly how you execute it flawlessly.